South Korean President Moon Jae-in hopes North Korean leader Kim Jong Un will visit Seoul this year. In his New Year's speech, Mr. Moon has vowed to continue efforts at improving inter-Korean relations.
나는 거듭 만나고 끊임없이 대화할 용의가 있습니다. 개성 공단과 금강산 관광 재개를 위한 노력도 계속해 갈 것입니다.
Recent bilateral efforts have made little headway, and largely to blame, US-led sanctions on North Korea over its nuclear programs.
In the midst of that, the North shelved its joint plans with South Korea. Mr. Moon has raised concerns about a stalemate in North Korea-US talks, which have been a sticking point in cooling inter-Korean relations.
북미 대화의 동력은 계속 이어져야 합니다. 무력의 과시와 위협은 누구에게도 도움이 되지 않습니다.
It's a pattern that has been repeated over the years. As talks between North Korea and the US have stalled, so has inter-Korean ties.
The two countries' relationship faltered last year when the second summit in Hanoi between Mr. Kim and US President Donald Trump ended without an agreement. And just last week, the North Korean leader announced that the world will see a new strategic weapon from his country in the near future.
Mr. Moon has appealed to the North for restraint from any military threats. He urged Mr. Kim to respond to his call, saying an improvement in relations would help broader nuclear talks with the US. Well, for more insights, we speak with political economist Dr. June Park. So, question, Moon Jae-in, he's speaking of a greater urgency to restart talks with North Korea. Is anyone listening or doing anything about this, though?
Not particularly on this particular day, because all eyes are on Iran and the kind of rapprochement that Moon Jae-in has been talking about throughout the day today, the momentum for that has been lost a long time ago.
Well, Mr. Moon has been sort of the champion for sort of realigning ties on the Korean peninsula, but it does seem that his hands are very much tied with, powers beyond his sort of control, the US, the China relationship, but in particular with what's happening with Washington at the moment. Does that complicate Mr. Moon's sort of attempts to reach out to the North?
What we should be focusing on right now is the kind of leverage that Moon Jae-in does not have anymore with regard to a situation like this, because at times like this, when the U.S. has a confrontation in the Middle East, North Korea issues were always placed in the back burner for as long as we could remember. So what we would see in the near future is the U.S. Trying to focus on realigning its strategy in the Middle East and not particularly on North Korea.
Well, you mentioned there, when a situation like this happens where U.S. is concentrated on another situation, it puts everything on the back burner. But does this then give Mr. Moon time to work behind the scenes with North Korea then?
He may be able to do that, but not just by himself. Perhaps through some assistance from China. Xi Jinping and Li Keqiang will be coming to South Korea this year on different visits. And perhaps the momentum of tilting from the South Korean perspective would occur at that moment.
And what do you think will happen then with the North at the moment? North Korea, Kim Jong Un has said that he is, planning to sort of show us perhaps a new weapon. Do you think now is the time that he may want to try and get the attention and focus back on himself?
I don't think that he would do something very belligerent at this point in time. What's really interesting compared to his predecessor, his father, Kim Jong-il, is that even during the assassination of Soleimani in Iran, Kim Jong-un was able to roam around even under the patrol of U.S. aircrafts around the Korean Peninsula. So he's signaling to the U.S. that he is bold enough, bolder than his father, and he's willing to go about his everyday life, everyday endeavors. So the U.S. has no control over him. He's trying to manifest that.
All right, well, thank you very much for your thoughts this evening. We've been speaking there with political economist Dr. June Park.